It starts with e4, e5, then f4, the king's gambit. They accept the gambit, and you play knight to f3. g5 is the best move, and after bishop to c4, g4, you castle, sacrificing your knight, but when you capture with the queen, you can see that 3 of your pieces are lined up on the f7 square, ready to attack the king. The problem is, the f4 pawn is blocking, and you'd like to take with the queen, but black can play queen to f6 to defend. Now you make another sacrifice with e5. Queen captures e5, and now bishop captures f7, sacrificing the bishop too to bring out the king. Now you attack the queen with d4. After queen captures d4, block the check with bishop to e3. And if they take the bishop, they lose their queen, because after you take their queen with your queen, they can't take back with the pawn because the rook pins it to the king. Instead, if they try to take more pieces with queen to b2, now you have queen captures f4, and at this point, their best move is to block with the queen, but now you can play queen to c4 check, and whatever they do next, you can play rook takes queen check, and you're winning. It starts with e4, e5, f4, the king's gambit. They accept the gambit, and you play bishop to c4. The most common move here is queen to h4 check. You can't block it with the pawns, so you must play king to f1. Bishop c5 threatens checkmate with queen to f2. So d4 to block, and now the bishop goes back to b6. Play knight to f3, attacking the queen. If the queen goes back to h6, play g3. The f-pawn is pinned to the queen by the bishop, but black now has queen to h3 check. Now we set the trap by playing king to f2. If black takes on g3, the queen is lost, because after we take back, the only safe square for the queen is g4, but not for long, because after we sacrifice the bishop on f7, we then play knight to e5 check, forking the king and the queen. If the king doesn't accept the sacrifice, well, now we have rook to h4, and the queen is still trapped with nowhere to go. It starts with e4, e5, f4, the king's gambit. After they accept the gambit, play knight f3. g5 defends the pawn. Now bishop to c4, and h6 creates a strong pawn chain, so h4 to break it up, and f6 to support it. But now the shocking move, knight to e5. After they take, play queen to h5 check. King e7 is the only move. Now queen f7 check. Only move is king d6, queen d5 check, king e7, and finally, queen e5 is checkmate. It starts with e4, e5, f4, the king's gambit. Now bishop to c5, and knight f3 to attack the pawn and prevent queen h5 check. d6 defends, and c3 prepares d4. Black thinks they're being tricky with queen to e7, but now you thrust forward with d4, and after takes, play the crucial move, king to f2. And now, black is in big trouble. The bishop must move to safety, but now bishop to b5 check, and whatever they do next, rook to e1 is coming. If they block the check, rook to e1 pins the queen to the king. If the king moves instead, then rook to e1 still, and after the queen moves out of the way, it's a brutal checkmate after 10 moves. It starts with e4, e5, f4, the king's gambit. d5 is the Falkbeer counter gambit. After they take on d5, play c6 to offer up the Nimzovich counter gambit. White will instead go for queen to e2. Now take the d-pawn and let white take the pawn with their queen. Now block the check with your bishop to trick white into capturing on g7. Now the queen is trapped. Play bishop to f5 to attack the queen. The only safe square is g3, but now bishop to h4 pins the queen to the king, and you're winning. It starts with e4, e5, f4, the king's gambit. Accept the gambit, and after knight to f3, play knight to f6 to attack e4. They will push forward to attack your knight, and now knight to h5 moves to safety. Knight to c3 is natural development, and now d6. They always play bishop to c4 here, and then you take on e5. They think they're going to be winning after knight captures e5 with a double attack on f7, but now queen to h4 check, king to f1, and now bishop to e6 looks like it trades bishops and stops the attack on f7, but you actually just want their bishop off of this diagonal, because after knight to g3 check, king g1, bishop c5 check, they have to block with d4, and after you take that, they have to take with their queen. But now knight to e2 check forks the queen, and after their knight takes, you have queen e1 checkmate. Follow me for more chess traps.
What's my Twitch? Twitch.tv/BobbyBojangles. Same as YouTube. Please, he's gonna do it. Yes. Guys, I made a video about this opening. You guys see the Burton Gambit, most insane chess gambit of all time in the history of chess? This is it. I sacrificed 3 pawns. I castled. I put my king in the corner. He has a pawn on h7, a bishop out here. And the engine says it's pretty equal. Unless he makes... It's only equal if he makes like one of two or three. There's like 2 or 3 moves that are kind of equal. That's not one of them. That's not one of them. It's not it. Pretty sure we're just playing this now. Another sacrifice here. You play another sacrifice. Because look at this. It's lined up. All your pieces are lined up here.
I mean, oh my, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Oh, give it to me.
Winning the queen. Now I should be winning. Winning the rook too, or something like that. I don't know. What a wild. This is so insane though. Isn't that wild? There's probably better moves. I could have won or something, but I'm still gonna win. Wasn't that wild though? That was wild. He has no way to get my king out of this corner to promote the pawn, so... Oh, he just resigned. Incredible. Just go here. What's he doing? My man, you're making mistakes, I think. Thinking this now. He's just letting me... This is weird. He's letting me develop all of my pieces. While attacking his queen. Wow, crushing move here, actually.
Feel free to pause the video here. I'll just give you a couple of seconds.
Okay, this is looking like a game over. Let's think for a second. I'm at least winning the rook. I'm not even going to think for very long about this. Okay, now is it checkmate? Or no? Now I think I maybe take here. And then take the rook. I don't even have to take the rook yet. I can honestly not take the rook until he moves this knight. But let's think. Mate. Dude, honestly, this is kind of risky, but bishop f5 looks like I'm winning the queen or mating him. 120 likes. Hey, thanks for smashing like, guys. Appreciate it. God, I feel like I should just take the pieces, but I think bishop f5 is like super strong. I'm like, because I can take a rook. I don't even have to take the rook. I could take the bishop and then take the rook. But this looks like it's game over, Rover. Like, you're done, son. Because it's mate in 2. Boom, boom, mate. Checkmate. You can't block it. There's no blocks. You think bishop f5? I want him to, because I'm going to checkmate him in 2 moves. Oh no, my bishop. Call an ambulance, but not for me. Checkmate on the spot. But that's checkers. Good game.